And at number 10, she's a new mom. Julia Fox is currently the internet cool girl with seemingly no responsibilities. That's why she's able to fly out to any city that Kanye wants on a whim. However, she recently welcomed her first child, a son named Valentino. He was born on January 17th of 2021. Julia posted the news to her Instagram, calling it the best day of her life. Although things with their child's father went downhill fast after his birth, and Julia and the father are no longer together. Julia keeps her home life with her son very private and does not post many details about him, although it's clear that she loves her son and he is always her first priority. And at number 9, she's been married. Fox was married to Peter Artemiev in 2018. They got engaged after dating for just 2 months, but this relationship fizzled out fast and he filed for divorce in February of 2020. The divorce was finalized in July. The divorce came less than a month after they welcomed their first child together. After the split, Julia exposed that the relationship was toxic, and she believes her relationship with Kanye is proof that women should leave toxic relationships, saying in one interview, quote, "The overall message is that if you're in a toxic relationship, get out of it because you never know who or what could be waiting on the other side." In December of 2021, Fox even publicly called out Peter on Instagram, writing, quote, "This man left me with a 5-month-old and a dog and a home and all the bills. It's wrong. It's not fair. He 1000% intentionally got me pregnant. It's a blessing. I'm happy about it. I would not change it." Thankfully, it seems like they are on better terms now. And at number 8, she met Kanye on New Year's Eve. We all know Julia Fox and Kanye West are an item, but you might not know they met on New Year's Eve, and they've been going strong ever since. She even shared photos from one of her dates in a piece she wrote for Interview magazine, where she shared that Kanye dressed her for the date. The pair met in Miami and clicked immediately. They then flew to New York City, where their infamous date night took place. When speaking about the couple, Julia said their friends think they are a perfect match. Quote, "I feel like to the people who know us both personally, like all the people we have in common, friends in common, have texted me and been like, oh my god, this makes so much sense." When asked if the relationship was for press, Fox replied, quote, "There's always people that think every single celebrity scandal is a setup. I personally don't." And at number 7, open relationship. Since the couple are fairly new, it's clear that they are still figuring out the dynamics of their relationship. It's even been reported that Julia and Kanye are currently in an open relationship. After West was seen out with Kim Kardashian lookalike Chaney Jones, rumors started swirling that he and Fox were finished, but apparently they are both allowed to see other people. A source said about the relationship, quote, "Their bond transcends typical norms because they're evolved beings who just want each other to be happy. There's no jealousy or bad vibes." Another source said that West is, quote, "openly seeing Jones and that the situation isn't ruffling any feathers." Page 6 also notes that Fox is talking to someone else on the East Coast, so everyone seems to be in agreement about the relationship status. And at number 6, she didn't have a great upbringing. Since Fox is so glamorous, you might not expect that she had a pretty tough upbringing. She was born in Italy but was sent to live with her father in New York when she was very young. Apparently her father was actually homeless. He worked in the construction industry renovating homes, and they lived in the homes that he was renovating. She said about her family, quote, "I pretty much grew up with him. Single dad, poor guy. My mom stayed in Italy, and I have 2 younger brothers. One is close in age to me, and the other one is 15. The 15-year-old lives in Italy with my mom, but the older one grew up with me in New York." Because of this instability, she would search for friends that she could stay with whenever possible. Because of this, she was introduced to a bad crowd at a young age, and even told Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy that she started partying and going to clubs when she was only 14. Halfway number 5, dumb. Little known facts is that Julia Fox first tested her acting chops while she was working as a dom in New York. She started the job when she was 18 and desperate for money. She told Paper Mag, quote, "My after-school job was a dom, so you know it was fantasy roleplay, and it's legal. There's no nudity, no sleeping with clients, it's all just roleplay." She continued, quote, "So I would have to go into a room with a stranger and put on this act. I was thrown into that as a teenager, so I'm good under pressure and I can read someone and know what it is that they want. I pick up subtle cues very well and pay attention to detail." And at number 4, she's a writer and director. Along with being an actress, model, and socialite, Julia has been a writer and director in the past. She wrote and directed a movie called Fantasy Girls. The movie is a short film about illegal activities relating to and she wrote it after being inspired by real-life stories of this taking place in Reno. In an interview with Elle, Fox said that she and a friend went to Reno to make a movie. They met a group of girls who told them about an underground ring of illegal activities taking place. And this inspired Julia to make the film to shine more light on this issue, saying that she wanted to tell the story in an artful way, not like a documentary. Speaking with Insider, Fox said her dream is being in a writer's room, adding, quote, "Writing, directing, and producing something, to me that's success, having my work speak for itself." She continued, quote, "I feel like that my whole life I've been trying to put things out there to show I'm not just this pretty girl. I'm an artist, I'm a creator, but it's always been overshadowed by what I look like." And at number 3, RIP Julia Fox. In 2017, Fox created an art exhibit called RIP Julia Fox that features paintings that she made with her own blood, if you can believe it. These paintings were done on silk and depicted images of her taking her own life. When speaking about the inspiration behind the exhibit, Fox said, quote, "I wanted the show to be as authentic and personal as possible. I extracted the blood with a syringe and used the syringe to paint on the silk. What inspired the paintings were Fox's multiple near-death experiences." Adding, quote, "In one particular instance, I saw the infamous tunnel of light and felt my spirit elevate from my human body and shoot into space. I guess I've always wondered where I was going. I've always been curious, subconsciously putting myself in dangerous situations, perhaps because I would like to revisit that place." And at number 2, played herself in Uncut Gems. Julia Fox's breakout role was in the critically acclaimed Adam Sandler movie Uncut Gems. And a little known fact is that the role was actually written for her and based on her real life, although she still did audition for the role and had stiff competition. Fox played the role of Howard's mistress and employee in the 2019 film Uncut Gems. It was reported that Fox befriended the movie's co-creator Josh Safdie in 2017, and she was actually a muse for him. Safdie and his brother were in the early stages of writing Uncut Gems, and Fox would talk with him about the character of Julia. In a profile about Fox, a reporter wrote, quote, "The Julia character being into photography, tattooing a guy's name on her, and even having an all-out fight with a guy in front of a club are all things from Fox's real life." The reporter added, quote, "Going up against hundreds, she fought for the role and got the part that was written for her." And finally at number 1, posed in Paper magazine with Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson and Julia Fox have become well known for dating the famous exes, Kim and Kanye. But you might not know that Pete and Julia have been linked in the past, and they even did a Paper magazine shoot together in 2019. On the latest episode of her Forbidden Fruits podcast titled Behind the Scenes with Julia Fox, Julia opened up about the strange love triangle that she's found herself in. Fox says it's all love and not really that serious. Adding, quote, "But it's really funny to see where people go with their theories. I love the Paper magazine cover of me and Pete. That shoot we did and we're like Barbie dolls." That's actually not the only strange coincidence about them. One fan even wrote on Twitter, quote, "Am I the only one who can't stop obsessing over the fact that Julia Fox is 13 years younger to Kanye and Pete Davidson is 13 years younger to Kim? The synchronicity here. That is truly wild."
Let's start things off at number 10. She parties a lot. We all know that Kim used to be a party girl. I mean, she and Paris Hilton like hung out all the time and they were like best friends. Since she settled down and gotten married and had kids, Kim likes to sculpt a very specific version of herself for the media. A version where she seems like a good girl and the perfect mom. But make no mistake, Kim is a party girl and she goes on benders, often with her sister Kendall. Ugh, Kendall. Of course, most of her partying is done in secret, but her assistants and staff know about it because she comes home drunk as and throws up everywhere. I actually don't know that for sure, but I'm assuming. At number 9 on our list, the crying is fake. There are so many pictures of Kim Kardashian crying on her reality show, her crying face has become a meme. You can literally buy clothing with Kim's crying face all over it. I kinda want it. But all this emotion seems to be is just an act to boost ratings on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Almost every episode Kim cries over like really dumb jewelry going missing, or maybe she'll cry about like scandalous photos being released of her in the press when she posts scandalous photos of herself on her own Instagram. But when she's at home and not on camera, she hardly ever cries and has quite thick skin, according to her assistant. And at number 8, she acts like a tyrant. Okay, there's a difference between thinking you like a queen boo and like having self-worth and acting like a tyrant, especially when it comes to how you treat your staff. Kim ordered Stephanie around day and night, and working for her wasn't glamorous. Stephanie never had a break, and she would be the one blamed if anything bad happened, like a flight got delayed. She said, "With all that glamour comes schlepping the bags and suitcases and taking the fall when the car doesn't show up or the flight is delayed or something goes wrong. I fail to see how it's your assistant's fault if the flight's delayed." Are you f***ing kidding me? The flight's delayed? This is outrageous. How could you let this happen? Like, what is she supposed to do about it? "I'm sorry, Kim. Don't hurt me. Don't sit on me." In at number 7, she's mean. Okay, listen, I think all of us can be mean once in a while. Maybe we've got mean thoughts about people, or we say things that we don't mean things that we don't mean. On Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim comes off as this really sweet person. But when the cameras aren't rolling, a different Kim comes out. She's reportedly rude to staff who have a hard time being around her, especially when she's in a mood. And apparently she's also quite rude to her mom. This was a quote that Kris Jenner posted on her Instagram. Apparently this is something that Kim said to her. "No more Pilgrim Addams family outfits. You have exhausted this look. Move on. We need chic, tight dresses, not this Amish stuff anymore." I don't know about you guys, but I would never say something like this to my mom, even if I didn't like her outfit, which is like some of the time. But if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. In at number 6, she doesn't have friends. They say that as you get more and more famous, you get more and more lonely and isolated. Kim used to have high profile celebs on her list of friends like Beyonce. Stephanie revealed that Beyonce and Kim are feuding and often badmouth each other, which hasn't become known because it's done privately in their homes. Stephanie also said that Kim has a hard time keeping friends because she thinks she's quote better than everyone else, and she tries to be better than everyone else too. Some other celebrities that Kim has cut off include Jordan Woods, Blac Chyna, Taylor Swift, and Drake. It's easy to judge someone who's got a big ego, but would any of us act differently in Kim's situation? I guess most of us will never know. I mean, I would like to think that someday I'm gonna have 100 million Instagram followers, but like who knows if that'll happen. Maybe that'll get to my head. Probably would get to most of us, wouldn't it? Excuse me, do you know who I am? I have 100 million followers. Let me in! In at number 5, she's a slob. Kim's former staffer said there would be old food in the refrigerator. The trash would be overflowing in the kitchen and the bathrooms. No one would go in there. Kim's bedroom and bathroom are beyond filthy at all times, no matter how often they're cleaned by her many maids. So Kim's got a massive closet. I think most of us can assume that by now. That goes without saying. But when she's getting ready to go out, rather than put her clothes back, she just chucks them all over the place and expects people to clean up after her, apparently. Here's a photo that essentially proves that. Her messy house is also seen when she goes on Snapchat or Instagram stories. Hey guys, it's Kim. Hey guys. In a report, she's vain. No surprise here. I think a lot of us can be vain from time to time. I mean, when you look like this. But Kim's vanity is on another level. She's obsessed with what she looks like. According to Stephanie, she is so vain that she has staff remove plants or objects if they're in the way of a mirror. And while on holiday at Punta Mita in Mexico, Kim took 6,000 selfies on a 4-day trip. Is that weird? Is that like a lot? Stephanie's also seen in some of these selfies. Granted, I kind of get it. Kim's an influencer and all influencers have to do for their job is take photos of themselves, but I feel like 6,000 selfies might be a little much. Just a little bit. And number 3, she's jealous of Kylie. Now this one pretty much goes without saying, but there's always been rivalry between siblings. Always. Unnamed staff sources say that when Kylie Jenner was named the youngest self-made billionaire by Forbes, there were rumors floating around that Kim was distancing herself from Kylie and trying to convince her sisters to do the same. After all, if it weren't for Kim, Kylie wouldn't be famous at all and wouldn't have had the platform that she successfully used to launch her billion-dollar makeup brand, Kylie Cosmetics. Kim saw how successful Kylie's brand was, and then she tried to start her own cosmetics company, KKW Beauty, and it's nowhere near as successful as Kylie Cosmetics. And at number 2, she's got low self-esteem. Remember those photos from that vacation? The cellulite photos? Yeah, those absolutely destroyed Kim. And I think if our squishy bits were plastered all over every tabloid in America, we would feel pretty terrible about ourselves too. I do have to commend Kim though. Instead of feeling sorry for herself, she started a strict diet and workout regimen. She now works with a personal trainer 6 days a week. She doesn't eat processed food. She doesn't even eat bread or salad dressing. The only thing that she allows herself to eat on a snack day is like banana bread. And she looking good. And at number 1, she's not the mother she appears to be. The picture social media paints of Kim is that she's this amazing mother to her children, but as soon as the cameras are not rolling, Kim has 3 nannies that are always looking after them. She fits visits into her schedule with her children, but they are very short visits. This is what a source said, and that source also told The Mirror it's a well-oiled machine with 3 nannies moving around the house, bringing the kids in for a quick Snapchat with mom, then whipping them away again if they start to cry and make a fuss. There's actually photo and video evidence of Kim being like not the best mom. There was that time that North fell down and Kim didn't help her up. She just like looked at her phone. And then there was also that time that she forgot North in the car. And there was also that time where she forgot North in the hotel and like went out to the car and then went back and got her. I actually think she debunked that claim, but you get my point.
At number 10, Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes started dating in the spring of 2005, and they had a nearly decade-long relationship before things ended between them. About a month after they started dating, Tom declared his love for Katie on the Oprah Winfrey Show, where this happened.
Never seen you behave this way before.
I know.
Have you ever felt this way before?
Things looked like sunshine and rainbows at first, but things got a little controversial a few months into their relationship when Katie announced that she was converting to Scientology. They got engaged just a few months after they began their relationship and got married and had a baby within the following year. From then on, they lived their lives in the spotlight and in the Church of Scientology, but sources say that the church is what led to Katie calling it quits. The church was very controlling of Katie's life, it seems, from their quote, unusual wedding according to Leah Remini, to Kate's fear of being watched or even kidnapped by the church for any number of reasons. Tom said in later interviews that he didn't see the divorce coming, but maybe that's just because he was too busy being groomed to become the next leader of the Church of Scientology. At number 9, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Brad and Angelina became a thing back in 2004 after falling in love on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They became one of Hollywood's it couples and dated for about a decade. During their time together, the pair grew their family and welcomed 6 children. Though they had been together for so many years, they only got married in 2014 and ended up divorcing 2 years later. Their divorce was highly publicized and messy as they had to deal with their settlements as well as the matter of custody of their 6 children. It is said that the decision to split came after Brad got into an altercation with the couple's eldest son, Maddox. According to sources, the altercation started after Brad had been drinking and got into an intense argument with Angelina. Maddox, in an effort to intervene, came between the two, and Brad apparently lunged at his son and made some sort of physical contact with him. From then on, there's been a rift between Brad and Maddox, and Angie has cited that she split from Brad for the well-being of her kids. It was also a rumor that they broke up because the monogamy of their relationship didn't suit their couple style. They've been featured by tabloids exploiting their breakup and aftermath of such, and some still can't believe that this longtime couple is no more. If you're enjoying the video, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel and we love seeing your feedback. At number 8, Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson began their relationship after working together on the first Twilight film, and their relationship lasted throughout most of the duration of the film's franchise. Their relationship was highly publicized in the media because fans of the Twilight saga loved seeing their on-screen ships become real. Though they never officially confirmed their relationship with tabloids, it was speculated that they had been dating since 2008 or 2009, keeping things under wraps for the most part. The couple officially came out as a couple in 2011, just as the penultimate film of the franchise came out, and there were even rumors of a marriage proposal in the works, but their relationship was short-lived after news broke of Kristen's cheating scandal with director Rupert Sanders. This left Robert heartbroken as they split soon after. Hollywood was shaken and so was their fans, as their breakup sort of lined up with the end of the vampire films. So not only did Edward and Bella's story end, but so too did Kristen and Robert's. At number 7, Liam Hemsworth and Miley Cyrus. Liam and Miley had a 10-year relationship that saw its ups and downs, but inevitably ended officially in 2020. The couple first met while filming the movie The Last Song, and after some months of speculation, they confirmed their relationship in 2010. After a few years and about 2 or so breakups and makeups, they confirmed their engagement in 2012, only to have broken up again in 2013, reportedly because of her weird face in 2013. You know, the tongue thing, that. In 2016, they confirmed to have reconciled and the engagement was back on. From then, they faced challenges together, from breakup reports to their house burning down in the California wildfires in 2018, and things seemed strong between them. They finally got married in December of 2018, and fans were ecstatic. Watching these two and their on and off relationship, fans were thrilled to see them cross the finish line, if you will, and tie the knot. But this excitement was short-lived, and in August 2019, their breakup was confirmed and they soon filed for divorce, and it was finalized in early 2020. I'm sure fans are still holding out hope for yet another reconciliation, but who knows if that'll actually happen. At number 6, Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. Zac and Vanessa's relationship was a lot like Kristen and Robert's in the sense that they were fans' connection between the real world and their favorite films. Zac and Vanessa started dating in 2005 after working together on High School Musical. These Disney Channel favorites saw their careers skyrocket, and so did their relationship. From then on, they were basically the Brangelina of Disney, always in the media and beloved by every preteen on the planet. Fans loved seeing Troy and Gabriella in real life, so when they inevitably broke up, it was devastating. The two were always seen together in public and always supported one another at premieres and during interviews, so this was probably why no one saw their breakup coming. Zac and Vanessa broke up in 2010 but cited that they were still good friends. According to sources, they broke up because they were looking to grow as individuals. They spent 5 years together, and during that time they were PG Disney Channel stars, so in a way they needed to end everything in order to move on and start something new. In other words, they had to go their own way. At number 5, Kris Jenner and Caitlyn Jenner. Kris and Caitlyn Jenner had been together together for about 20 years before divorcing. While they were married, they had Kylie and Kendall Jenner and added to the Kar-Jenner clan, acting as another parental figure to all of the Kardashian children. They announced their separation in 2013, citing that things were on good terms, but things got messy after that. About a year after separating, rumors started to spread about Caitlyn beginning her transition and the Kardashians not being on board with it. A few months later, Caitlyn came out as transgender and began slamming Kris in the tabloids. While being interviewed for Vanity Fair, Caitlyn called Kris out on the way that she was treated during their marriage, saying, quote, "I think in a lot of ways she became less tolerant of me. A lot of times she wasn't very nice. People would see how I got mistreated. She controlled the money, all that kind of stuff," end quote. Kris then clapped back, saying that their split was, quote, "the most passive-aggressive thing she's ever experienced." Caitlyn also went in deep on her criticisms of Kris in her tell-all book, and this created a huge rift in the family. From then on, over the years, Caitlyn has bashed Kris for their relationship, and Kris has continued to keep up their bad blood over their kids and lack of communication during their marriage and beyond. At number 4, Kourtney Kardashian and Scott Disick. Scott and Kourtney have been in each other's lives for about as long as Keeping Up with the Kardashians have been on air. The pair started their relationship in 2006, welcoming 3 children over the years, but although fans of the show watched their relationship grow, fans also watched it fall apart. Scott was shrouded in cheating allegations and allegations of substance abuse, and he was in and out of the news a lot for his fights with Kourtney, among other scandals. The couple had officially ended things in 2015, and although there is no confirmed or solid reason as to why they ended things for good, Scott did say that his image clouded his ability to be a good father, saying that he had a, quote, different life now. To have gone from being a normal person to being a celebrity overnight and having to raise your kids and live your life in the spotlight sounds challenging enough. Now having the whole world watching your every move, that must have been taxing on both Scott and his relationship. The pair co-parent their kids, but they are often in the news about their relationship with other people, as well as their televised agreements and drama on TV. Their breakup shook Hollywood because Hollywood got to see it crash and burn uncensored. At number 3, Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. It all started with the IHOP date. Tabloids broke the news of what looked like the couple's first date, and though it seemed relatively unimportant at the time, this marked the beginning of something big. Selena and Justin began their on and off relationship that would span until 2018, and throughout this time we saw drama, massive media coverage, and more. The timeline of the relationship is pretty fuzzy because of how many times they broke up, got back together, and all of their other relationships during that time. Officially, their true breakup was in 2018, just shortly before Justin began his relationship with Hailey Baldwin. Every time the two were seen together in public, whether they were official or not, was big news. Bieber's tirades in the media often had to do with his beefs with Selena's current or ex-partners at whatever given time, and Selena gave some details about her relationship in her music. They were in a toxic relationship, though fans didn't really put that together until later on in their relationship, as they were fighting and breaking up a lot. Bottom line is that they took the media by storm, but things have cooled off since then as they've moved on. At number 2, Princess Diana and Prince Charles. Though these two weren't actors or singers, they were still celebrities in their own right. The royal family holds an A-list status, so they still fit this list. Diana was beloved by many across the world, so her relationship, divorce, and unfortunate passing affected people around the world, including Hollywood. The couple were wed in 1981, and their wedding was a grand affair, televised around the world. Everyone was watching their every move following their marriage, through to the births of their 2 sons, and into the beginning of the end of their relationship. Around 1986, both Charles and Diana allegedly began their extramarital affairs. Charles and Diana continued to have problems in their marriage until 1992, when it was announced that they were separating amidst rumors of cheating, time apart, and the publication of Diana's take on royal life in her memoir. Though it was said that no third party was involved in their relationship's end, I think everyone knows that's not exactly true. I'm looking at you, Camilla. I see you. They finalized their divorce in August 1996, but Diana's single life was short-lived as she passed away tragically in a car crash. I'm sure if you know about this story, then you may be aware of the conspiracy theory that follows, but if not, check it out. It's juicy. At number 1, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Now I obviously had to include these two on this list because not only did their breakup shake Hollywood, but every tabloid ever. When these two began their relationship, it was cited that they were head over heels for each other. Some people told sources that they were inseparable, which at the time sounded cute and romantic, but now that we know what was going on behind closed doors, we now know that it was far from nice. They were married for only about a year before Amber filed for divorce and accused Johnny of harming her. This took Hollywood and the tabloids by storm, as she had seemingly called Johnny out for his actions during her op-ed for the Washington Post. From there, he was shunned from Hollywood and was dubbed a wife beater by news publications. Now, years after the split, they continue to be in the news as they're going after each other in court filings, defamation lawsuits, and having their allegations and new evidence broadcast to the world. Both Amber and Johnny have felt the effects of their scandals in the media as the world seems to have turned on Amber, and Johnny continues to lose work over the events of the lawsuits and the allegations against him. Their breakup has been all over Hollywood, their careers are at stake, and I don't think that this is going to die out anytime soon.
Starting us off at number 10, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. I mean, this is the interview which inspired the list in the first place, and if you've yet to watch it, well, there's a lot to unravel, that's for sure. Some of the biggest headlines that have stood out from this interview include concerns that the royal family had regarding how dark Meghan and Harry's firstborn, Archie's skin color would be. On top of this, both Harry and Meghan spoke on the struggles of being a part of the royal family, which from the looks of it, doesn't appear to be much of a family at all. According to them, there's the family and then the people actually running the entire thing, in which they called it the institution. Meghan also spoke of a very tough time for her in which her mental health was significantly declining. Upon her asking to leave and get help, the institution denied. When she spoke with HR, they showed her compassion, but claimed because she wasn't a paid employee of the institution, they couldn't be much help. Meghan also touched on the headlines falsely accusing her of making her sister-in-law, Kate Middleton, cry, in which she set the record straight, saying Kate made her cry, but later referring to her as a good person. On to number 9, Donald Trump predicts his presidency. Normally The Simpsons is the show predicting how things are going to go down in the future, but it seems this time around Oprah was right on the money. Well, it was a mix of Oprah and former President Donald Trump, who at the time was just known as Donald Trump, wealthy businessman. At the time, Trump was appearing on the show to promote his new book and just talk about life or business in general as a multi-millionaire in the 80s. However, things went from business to politics real quick, as Trump wasn't one to shy away from how he felt about foreign policy. After the two had a quick conversation about how, if he was ever president, he would charge a lot of foreign taxes to favor America. Oprah went on to say, I quote, "This sounds like political presidential talk to me. I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?" Trump's reply, "Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country get ripped off. I just don't think I have the inclination to do it. If it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country. We're really making other people live like kings, and we're not. I think I'd win. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose." Well, there's that. On to number 8, the Forsyth County interview. Known for breaking down barriers and really pushing things to the limit, Oprah decided after being on air for just 5 months to head down to Forsyth County, Georgia to interview the locals. Although the majority of the time on her show, Oprah would interview guests in her studio, this time she decided to take the interview to the people. Forsyth County, historically known since the early 1900s for being incredibly racist, didn't have a single black resident for over 75 years when Oprah went to visit the all-white population. As you can imagine, the majority of those that Oprah had the opportunity to interview didn't have such nice things to say. For the most part, the interview saw Oprah asking the locals questions, and them responding with racist comments, ignorant beliefs, and just completely illogical reasoning. Although there were a few who showed they were of a much more progressive mindset, it seems the majority of those living in Forsyth County didn't want anyone living there unless they were a straight white person. For the safety of both herself and the crew, Oprah and the team left before sundown, but the interview significantly highlighted how much racism was still alive at the time. Not to say it no longer exists, but given back then the only form of media you had was TV, radio, and the newspaper, while Oprah was doing the work most people weren't. At number 7, Michael Jackson. One of Oprah's biggest interviews to date, if not the biggest one. Back in 1993, Oprah Winfrey traveled to Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch to interview the King of Pop, his first time being interviewed in 14 years. To no surprise, this led to Oprah getting 90 million viewers tuning in to hear what Jackson had to say. Although at the time the allegations made against MJ had not yet come to light, there were plenty of other controversies and speculation surrounding his life at the time. For example, a very common misconception was that he bleached his skin to appear whiter. There were also claims that he would sleep in a hyperbaric chamber to keep his appearance youthful. During the interview, Jackson would speak on the rumors of his sleeping regime, in which he admitted the photos circulating of him checking the chamber were actually for his charity. He would also reveal to the world the reason for his skin appearing to be more white than when he was a kid, due to his skin condition vitiligo, saying the condition was in his family. On to number 6, Mike Sisco. Not so much a celebrity like a lot of the others featured on here, Sisco was simply a gay man from West Virginia who was publicly shamed for swimming in a public pool after testing positive for AIDS. The interview, occurring back in 1987, was right around the height of the AIDS epidemic, although by 1987 the CDC had already determined you couldn't get infected through casual contact, food, water, air, or surfaces. Unfortunately for a lot of people, that didn't matter, and Cisco was publicly shamed, making front page news and eventually appearing on Oprah's show. During the interview, Oprah spoke with other locals, as well as the town's mayor, who felt it was his duty to close the pool and tell the newspaper to run the story that an AIDS patient had been in the pool. Some guests who were locals of the town showed support for Cisco, while others blamed him. Dr. Woodrow Myers, a public health official from Indiana, was also on and explained that although he understands the general public's fear, facts are what are most important. At number 5, Jane Elliott. The beauty of this interview is that it was actually a social experiment done and the audience had no idea. Elliott rose to prominence after introducing the Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes experiment into her classrooms, literally the day after Martin Luther King was assassinated. In an effort to prove that racism is taught, Elliott would separate those with blue eyes from the rest of the class and treat them in a less friendly way compared to their brown-eyed counterparts. If you had green eyes like me, well, they'd probably just kill you. I'm just kidding. At the end of the day, the experiment was done to teach these kids how racism is taught and learned, not something you're just born with. Going back to Oprah, while inviting Jane onto her show, they decided to try the experiment without members of the audience knowing. Those with blue eyes were pulled out of line and treated poorly, while those with brown eyes were given food, coffee, and even the opportunity to skip the line to get into the Oprah show. Airing in 1992, the episode really highlighted what racism is like, and how easy it was for people to give into the idea of discrimination so long as it benefits them. Let's just say for the 90s, this type of thing was unheard of, and was a huge deal in regards to starting the conversation that no one was willing to have. At number 4, Mike Tyson. One of the baddest men on the planet opened up, and it was all thanks to Oprah. In 2009, Tyson appeared on the show and spoke with Oprah about his time in prison, the loss of his daughter to a freak accident, and of course his infamous fight against former heavyweight champ Evander Holyfield. The interesting thing about this interview is that it was split into 2 parts. The first part saw Tyson just tell all, speak on the things previously mentioned, and really show the world a softer, different side of him. The second part of the interview actually saw Tyson and Holyfield sit down face to face for the first time since their fight and put everything past them, with Tyson apologizing, extending his hand, and Holyfield shaking it, officially burying the hatchet. Number 3, Kim Kardashian. This was the tell-all interview in which Oprah and Kim spoke about the tape, which many credit for giving Kim the fame she has today. For those of you unaware, Kim and her former boyfriend and rapper Ray J made a little intimate video and then sold it for a lot of money. I mean, it got leaked. Sources say Kris Jenner purposely put it out. Both Kim and Kris denied this, but I mean, really, who knows? All in all, Kim would speak on the tape itself, as well as her 72-day marriage to former NBA player Chris Humphries. Although the tape was leaked or released in 2007, the interview with Oprah didn't occur until 2012. By then, Kim K was a household name, and people wanted answers. Oprah was the one giving it to them, as Kim told the cameras all they wanted to know and plenty more. Number 2, Ellen DeGeneres. Before Ellen was Ellen, she was just a young up-and-coming comedian trying to make a name for herself. As the years have gone on, she's been able to build herself quite the empire. Not as big as Oprah's, but still pretty damn big. However, prior to the fame and fortune, Ellen was once a guest on Oprah's show and gave quite an amazing interview. Well, at this point, Ellen was a big deal and had a massive show on TV called The Ellen Show, in which she played a somewhat fictional character of herself. One episode in particular, the puppy episode, saw Ellen's character actually come out as gay. There were rumors of this leading up to the episode's premiere, and just weeks prior, Ellen was featured on the front of Time magazine with the headline, "Yep, I'm gay." That in itself was big news, but when Ellen appeared on Oprah's TV show and openly spoke about her sexuality and the struggles she's faced because of it on primetime TV, well, it was a game changer. They just so happened to do the interview the same day the episode Puppy Love dropped on TV as well. At number 1, Tom Cruise. I mean, I really don't need to get into it, but this will always be my all-time favorite moment, potentially in the history of TV. So many TV shows and movies have either parodied this or outright made fun of it because of how funny and just wildly crazy the whole situation was. At the height of their very public relationship, Tom Cruise appeared on Oprah's show to likely talk about his career in movies, but the conversation quickly shifted to Katie and his love for her. At the sound of her name, Cruise is seen jumping up and down on the couch, grabbing Oprah's hands, and letting the world know how much he loves Katie Holmes. Just the behavior in general was so unlike Cruise. Every time I watch the clip on YouTube, I'm literally in tears. Like, I was laughing about it earlier today watching it. Between the laughs and the couch jumping, this interview will likely go down in history as one of the most memorable of all time, simply for how wild Cruise was acting the entire time.
Coming in at number 10, When the Queen Stands. Most of the rules we're going to be talking about today do apply to many that meet the Queen, and as the title of the video suggests, this is one rule that the rest of the royal family makes sure to follow. The origin of this rule dates back pretty much to the start of the monarchy. You see, during medieval times, monarchs were viewed as having divine status, and because of that, they had to be treated accordingly. During the medieval period, people believed that the monarchs were divinely appointed to rule by God, so as a result, they were sort of seen as gods themselves. Because of this, many of them demanded to be treated as such, which means when the Queen stands, everyone stands. Coming in number 9, curtsy required. The curtsy, or a bow for men, is often something we see people meeting the Queen or even other royal family members taking part in. Similar to the standing rule, the curtsy is a formality meant to pay your respects to the Queen as well. This was a big topic of conversation actually in that Meghan Markle Oprah Oprah interview. Markle said that growing up she had never been exposed to these royal requirements, and so Harry actually had to teach her how to curtsy shortly before meeting his grandmother. Apparently it wasn't even until the drive over to meet the Queen that Harry thought to ask Meghan if she knew how to curtsy. Markle was shocked that the curtsy rule was something that applied to the royal family as well. She said during the interview, "I thought genuinely that was part of what happens outside. I thought that was part of the fanfare. I didn't think that that's what happens inside, and I said, it's your grandmother." He goes, "It's the Queen." Coming in number 8, the Queen leads. This one is actually kind of sweet, and I'm sure Prince Philip doesn't actually mind. However, since their marriage, Her Majesty's husband has always walked a few steps behind her at all times. The pair have been married since 1947, and believe it or not, but there is a very specific reason why he walks behind her. According to a report from Reader's Digest, whenever the royal family is part of a procession, they will enter and are seated in the order of precedence, which basically means they move in the same order as the line of succession to the throne. The order goes Queen Elizabeth II, the Duke of Edinburgh, the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and so on and so forth. Now technically speaking, the Prince of Wales should rank higher than Prince Philip, but the Queen is allowed to update the order as she sees fit. Coming in number 9, marriage approval. Believe it or not, but under British law, a royal actually can't get married unless they first get permission from Her Majesty the Queen. This rule comes from the Royal Marriages Act that was first created in 1772. For nearly 250 years, the royal family have all needed to get their bid for marriage approved by the reigning monarch. According to the statute, every marriage or matrimonial contact of any such descendant without such consent first had and obtained shall be null and void to all intents and purposes whatsoever. However, in 2013, there was a slight amendment with the passing of the Succession to the Crown Act. Now, today, only the first 6 royals in line to the throne actually require the monarch's permission to validate their marriage. Coming in number 6, strict dress code. Some people dream of being a princess or a queen for all the beautiful and fancy clothes that you get to wear. However, it's not all tiaras and tea in the royal family. They also have to follow a very strict dress code and are even required to always have an all-black ensemble when they travel. Everything from dark nail polish to miniskirts are absolutely unacceptable. The royal family wants to uphold this polished look, and so because of this, everyone must dress conservatively. In the case of the all-black ensemble, this is something they plan for in the unfortunate event of the passing of a family member while traveling. Every single member of the family must always carry this with them so that they are dressed respectfully when seen in public after the announcement. Coming in number 5, no nicknames allowed. Now this one seems really particular, but again, this royal rule is put in place to show respect to other members of the royal family. Royalty are expected to be addressed by their full name, which means their given name rather than a nickname given to them by their family. Additionally, it's usually expected that they also use the royal family member's title when addressing them. For example, when William married Kate, she immediately started being referred to as Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge. Imagine having to always address your wife like that. "Excuse me, Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, what do you want for dinner tonight?" Now, with that said though, there are some royals who have broken this rule since they were young. For example, Harry's given name is actually Henry, or to make it even more formal, he should be addressed as Prince Henry Charles Albert David of Windsor, but he usually just goes by Prince Harry Duke of Sussex. Coming in number 4, no foreign throne sitting. When the Queen got to visit the set of Game of Thrones in Northern Ireland, she unfortunately had to pass up what could have been possibly one of the greatest photo ops in history, and it's all because of an obscure royal rule. Even though it's a fictional throne, the Queen is still never allowed to sit on a foreign throne, which is a very esoteric rule to have, but there's a reason for it. This is again an old custom that shows respect to your own throne as well as the monarch's throne that they may be presented with. Although according to actress Maisie Williams, who portrayed Arya Stark in Game of Thrones, the Iron Throne may have just been too uncomfortable. Maisie recounted that day saying, "She sort of looked at it and said, 'That doesn't look very comfortable.' And while no one really asked her to take a seat," Williams added, "we all just sort of smiled and were like, is she gonna do it?" Coming in number 3, no autographs allowed. Now this one kind of makes sense considering the fact that for security reasons alone, someone having a royal signature could do a lot of damage, especially the Queen. Usually royal family members like Kate Middleton are more than happy to greet members of the public during their royal engagements. However, if she has ever asked for an autograph, she has been known to politely decline. Prince Charles is also said to tell people that he's sorry that they don't allow him to do that. Although funny enough, Meghan Markle actually did break this rule when she signed a fan's autograph book with just a heart and a smiley face. I guess they consider that breaking the rule. Shows you how strict these are. Coming in number 2, no shellfish. Now I brought this point up before in another video, but it still blows my mind, so here it is again. Can you imagine being told what to eat? I just can't imagine being banned from eating certain foods that I want to try because of the off chance that I might get sick from whatever it is. In the case of shellfish and meat cooked rare, the royal family are warned to steer clear over fears they will be poisoned. Shellfish typically does pose a higher risk for food poisoning, but I feel like the lack of fish may only be depleting them of healthy fats and nutrients, versus, protecting them against a potential attack on their stomachs. Additionally, the royal family was advised not to eat shellfish because of the possibility of allergic reactions, which I can understand. Apparently though, Queen Elizabeth still abides by this rule, but Prince Charles on the other hand is known to enjoy shellfish every now and again. And coming in at our number 1 spot, heirs fly separate. This point here actually shocked me a bit, but when you think about the worst case scenario, I get why they would want this rule in place. This rule was first made back when jetting off in an airplane was a much more risky way to travel. Because of this, officials decided that there needed to be measures in place just on the off chance that there was a fatal accident on the aircraft. If the entire royal lineage was on that plane, it could be really bad for the royal family. So ever since then, the king or queen or their heirs were never never allowed to fly together on the same plane, which means that the Queen, Prince Charles, Prince William, and Prince George should never all board a jet at the same time. However, in recent years, Her Majesty has relaxed this rule a bit because air travel has gotten much safer over time. In fact, in 2014, William and Kate were both allowed to take baby Prince George with them on a flight to Australia.